There exists a force, ancient, divine, and infinitely powerful, that has been whispered about for centuries, yet remains a mystery to many. A force that is not bound by time, nor confined to a select few. It is the Holy Spirit, the breath of the divine, the invisible guide, the eternal wellspring of power. But here is a truth that few dare to acknowledge. The Holy Spirit is not a distant entity hovering beyond reach. It is already within you, waiting, watching, yearning to awaken. Yet, despite its presence, so many feel disconnected. They pray, they seek, they strive, yet the power eludes them. Why? Because the Holy Spirit does not simply descend upon those who merely wish for it. It responds to those who prepare for it, those who create the space for its divine fire to dwell. The sages and mystics of old knew this. They understood the sacred laws governing spiritual empowerment. They did not merely ask for the Holy Spirit's presence. They aligned themselves with it. They became a vessel for its power. And you, too, can do the same. In this journey, we will unravel the hidden principles behind attracting the Holy Spirit's power into your life. Principles that have been obscured by misconception, yet hold the key to true spiritual transformation. By the end of this revelation, you will not only understand the Holy Spirit in a deeper way, but you will also experience its power as a tangible force within you. But before we unveil these secrets, we must first address a crucial question. Why do so many seekers fail to connect with the Holy Spirit, despite their devotion? For countless seekers of truth, the quest to connect with the Holy Spirit is fraught with obstacles, misunderstandings, and spiritual dissonance. At first glance, the Holy Spirit is often shrouded in mystique, an abstract, elusive presence that many believe is reserved solely for the devout elite. This misconception creates a chasm, a distance that leaves individuals feeling unworthy or disconnected from the divine power that yearns to ignite their inner being. One common challenge arises from the idea that the Holy Spirit is merely an ethereal force, arriving only during moments of profound religious ecstasy or mystical experiences. This belief overlooks the subtler, everyday miracles that the Spirit weaves into the fabric of life. Instead, many are led to expect grand, supernatural manifestations, a lightning strike of divine intervention that will unmistakably prove its presence. When such dramatic experiences fail to materialize, disillusionment sets in. The seeker begins to question, is the Holy Spirit truly there? Or is it simply a relic of ancient lore rendered obsolete by modern rationality? Another barrier is the entanglement of the Holy Spirit with doctrinal dogma. Over the centuries, layers of tradition and rigid interpretations have obscured the original essence of this divine force. Instead of embracing the Holy Spirit as a living, dynamic presence, many are taught to revere it from afar, as though it were a distant deity rather than an ever-present guide within. This doctrinal rigidity creates a spiritual gridlock, stifling the natural flow of divine energy into the heart and mind. Furthermore, modern life itself, with its relentless pace, digital distractions, and an emphasis on the tangible, can mute the subtle whispers of the Holy Spirit. In a world where evidence is demanded and every phenomenon is scrutinized, the quiet, persistent murmurings of spiritual truth are often drowned out by the clamor of everyday noise. The mind becomes conditioned to seek answers in the external world, rather than turning inward to the sacred sanctuary of the soul where the Spirit patiently awaits. For many, this spiritual disconnect manifests as an inner emptiness, a sense of purposelessness or stagnation. Without the liberating power of the Holy Spirit, individuals can find themselves trapped in cycles of doubt, fear, and self-limitation. They may live out their days with an awareness of something missing, a vital spark that could illuminate their true potential and transform their mundane existence into one of profound meaning. The challenge, then, is not only to overcome these misconceptions, but to transform one's approach to spirituality itself. It requires a deliberate unlearning of old patterns, a shedding of preconceived notions, that the divine is unreachable or reserved for others. To reconnect with the Holy Spirit, one must cultivate a quiet receptivity, an openness to the mysterious ways in which the divine communicates. In the struggle to bridge this divide, seekers are called to embark on a journey of inner alchemy, where every thought, every intention becomes a channel for divine energy. It is in this vulnerable state of surrender, where old barriers fall away, that the Holy Spirit can truly take root and flourish, ushering in a transformation that is as subtle as it is profound. As we venture deeper into the realm of divine mysteries, we uncover a tapestry woven with the threads of biblical teachings and the lived experiences of those who have encountered the Holy Spirit in its fullest glory. The scriptures are replete with stories of transformation, where ordinary individuals were elevated to extraordinary realms through the gentle yet fierce empowerment of the Holy Spirit. Consider the early disciples, imperfect, unpolished souls, who, upon receiving the Holy Spirit, were set ablaze with a passion that transcended human understanding. On the day of Pentecost, the transformative power of the Spirit descended like a rush of wind, igniting hearts and minds and turning timid whispers into bold proclamations. This event wasn't just a miraculous display of divine intervention, it was a clarion call to every seeker that the Holy Spirit is not a relic of the past, but a living force ready to activate our potential today. Modern testimonies echo this ancient truth. Countless individuals have shared personal stories of transformation, accounts where the Holy Spirit has interceded during moments of despair, guiding them through darkness into light. One such narrative is that of a weary soul, burdened by the weight of everyday struggles, who found solace in the quiet embrace of the Spirit during a time of profound loss. In the stillness of a midnight prayer, the individual felt an overwhelming sense of peace and love, a divine reassurance that they were not alone. This encounter was not a fleeting moment of comfort, but a radical shift that sparked an enduring commitment to live in harmony with divine guidance. At the heart of these revelations lies the concept of spiritual gifts, unique manifestations of the Holy Spirit that empower us to serve a higher purpose. Among these are the gifts of wisdom, discernment, and healing, each one a distinct expression of the divine's love and creativity. These gifts serve as a bridge between the earthly and the transcendent, enabling us to perceive life through a lens of grace and profound understanding. They remind us that our human capacities, when aligned with divine will, become channels for miracles. Yet, the Holy Spirit's influence is not solely confined to these extraordinary gifts. It also flourishes in the everyday fruits of a transformed life: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These fruits are the subtle indicators of a life touched by the divine, qualities that radiate warmth and invite others to partake in the sacred dance of spiritual awakening. When we embody these fruits, we become living testaments to the transformative power of the Holy Spirit, inspiring those around us to seek their own connection with the divine. The journey to harnessing the Holy Spirit's power is both an inward and outward expedition. It requires cultivating a heart of openness, a willingness to surrender to forces beyond our understanding, and the courage to let go of control. This process is often marked by moments of intense vulnerability, a state where the old self dissolves and is reborn in the luminous presence of the Spirit. In these moments, the barriers between the mundane and the miraculous dissolve, revealing a realm where every breath is infused with divine grace. Delving into the rich traditions of our faith, we find that the Holy Spirit has been a silent companion through the ages, guiding prophets, kings, and common folk alike. Each biblical account, whether it's the stirring wisdom of Solomon or the compassionate acts of the Good Samaritan, carries an undercurrent of the Spirit's influence. These narratives are not just historical records. They are timeless lessons that invite us to experience a similar metamorphosis in our own lives. Ultimately, embracing the Holy Spirit's power is a call to transformation, a metamorphosis that is as practical as it is profound. It asks us to live authentically, to step beyond the confines of our fears, and to trust in a power that is both ancient and ever-present. As you reflect on these insights, imagine a life where every decision, every interaction, is infused with the sacred energy of the Holy Spirit, turning ordinary moments into divine encounters. In the silent solitude of a moonlit night, a profound shift occurred, a moment when the mundane shattered and the eternal embraced the transient. It was as if time itself had paused to witness the unveiling of a sacred truth. I found myself alone in a quiet space, a small room filled with nothing but the soft hum of my heartbeat and the whisper of the wind outside. The air was charged with an unspoken promise, a subtle invitation to experience something beyond the ordinary. In that stillness, memories of ancient teachings surfaced. I recalled the stories of mystics and sages who had spoken of a divine fire that burns within, a flame that, once ignited, transforms the soul. They had described it as a power that doesn't demand attention, but gently calls out to the seeker, inviting them to step into a realm of boundless possibility. Yet for so long, I had remained on the periphery of that sacred dance, hesitating at the threshold of divine intimacy. In the silent solitude of a moonlit night, a profound shift occurred, a moment when the mundane shattered and the eternal embraced the transient. It was as if time itself had paused to witness the unveiling of a sacred truth. I found myself alone in a quiet space, a small room filled with nothing but the soft hum of my heartbeat and the whisper of the wind outside. The air was charged with an unspoken promise, a subtle invitation to experience something beyond the ordinary. In that stillness, memories of ancient teachings surfaced. I recalled the stories of mystics and sages who had spoken of a divine fire that burns within, a flame that, once ignited, transforms the soul. They had described it as a power that doesn't demand attention, but gently calls out to the seeker, inviting them to step into a realm of boundless possibility. Yet for so long, I had remained on the periphery of that sacred dance, hesitating at the threshold of divine intimacy. I remembered a time in my past when I had felt utterly lost, overwhelmed by the burdens of life. It was a period marked by despair and isolation, where every step felt shrouded in darkness. Yet, even in that abyss, there were flickers of hope, moments of inexplicable clarity that hinted at a deeper guiding force. I had dismissed them at the time, too afraid to believe that they were more than mere coincidences. But that night, as the divine warmth grew stronger, I recognized those glimmers as the unmistakable fingerprints of the Holy Spirit. The experience was both humbling and empowering. I felt as though a veil had been lifted, revealing a landscape where the sacred and the everyday intermingled seamlessly. The barriers I had constructed around my heart began to crumble, replaced by an unshakable certainty that I was not alone. I realized that the Holy Spirit's power was not a distant phenomenon reserved for the few. It was a birthright, an ever-present reality, accessible to anyone willing to seek it with sincerity and courage. In the quiet aftermath, as the glow receded into a gentle radiance, I sat with a renewed understanding of my spiritual journey. The transformation I had undergone was not the dramatic spectacle of miracles that many expect, but a subtle, profound realignment of my inner world. It was a moment of awakening, a realization that every breath, every heartbeat, and every moment is imbued with divine potential. This key moment became the cornerstone of my faith. It taught me that embracing the Holy Spirit requires vulnerability, the willingness to confront one's innermost fears, and the courage to accept that we are vessels for something far greater than ourselves. The experience affirmed that the journey towards spiritual empowerment is both deeply personal and universally transformative. It beckons each of us to step into the light of our true essence, where the divine resides in every moment, waiting to guide us home. As our journey comes full circle, let us reflect on the profound insights we've uncovered about the Holy Spirit, a force as ancient as time and as intimate as the breath within us. We began by exploring the enigmatic nature of this divine presence, learning that the Holy Spirit is not confined to the pages of sacred texts or the isolated moments of transcendent ecstasy. Instead, it resides within each of us, ready to illuminate our lives with boundless grace and wisdom. Throughout our exploration, we confronted the challenges that often obscure our connection to this divine power, misconceptions that portray the Holy Spirit as a distant, unattainable force. We acknowledged the ways in which rigid dogmas and the relentless pace of modern life can muffle the Spirit's subtle whispers, leaving many of us feeling disconnected and spiritually stagnant. Yet, within these very challenges lies an invitation, a call to shed our doubts and preconceived notions, and to open ourselves fully to the transformative embrace of the divine. Drawing from the rich reservoir of biblical teachings and personal testimonies, we witness the Holy Spirit's remarkable ability to transform lives. From igniting the passions of early disciples to gently guiding us through our darkest moments, the Spirit reveals itself in myriad forms, through gifts that empower us to act with love, wisdom, and healing, and through the quiet fruits of inner transformation that blossom in our daily lives. The ultimate lesson is one of empowerment, that the Holy Spirit's presence is not an external miracle to be observed from afar, but a living, dynamic force that awakens the divine potential within each of us. As you stand on the threshold of your own spiritual awakening, remember that every step taken in faith, every moment of surrender, is a step towards a more luminous, enriched existence. Embrace this journey with an open heart and allow the gentle yet potent power of the Holy Spirit to guide you towards a life of authentic transformation and eternal light. Now that you've glimpsed the transformative power of the Holy Spirit, share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Subscribe and join us in our next journey, where we delve even deeper into unlocking the mysteries of your spiritual awakening. Let your story inspire others on this sacred path.